thinking, could it be that the very people or things that are in your life that you believe were sent by the enemy to derail your life, to block you, to hinder you, to misalign you, were actually, with right perspective, allowed by God to be a mirror to where you actually are? That they are the catalyst for the change that you needed to make within yourself that you never actually made. That they become the exposure to your own heart that you needed to see. You know, our pastor recently spoke about Cain and Abel, and prior to him doing that, we were talking about it before, and I thought about this fact that although Cain and Abel were intimate in the fact that they knew each other, they were related, they're brothers, they had relationship, or we assume that they had a relationship based on the proximity that they would have. In the moment that Cain's offering to God was not accepted in the way that he desired, we see that instead of focusing on the heart that God had revealed to him wasn't in the right place, he fixed his mind on removing what he deemed as the problem. And so it had me thinking that maybe sometimes we focus so much on the outliers, we focus so much on the external, that we don't look at the internal things that we need to change. Granted, there are people and things that you should absolutely remove from your lives, especially when they don't add the value to where God is bringing you. But what about the things you have to work on? What about the boundaries that you need to set? What about the thought patterns and processes that you need to change? What about the fact that God says, think on these things, yet we enable our minds to think on the problems and the issues, that we walk in shame, guilt, hurt, defeat, instead of thinking of the joy, love, peace, abundance that God gives us in both spirit and in the natural, that the fruits of the spirit are available to us. All of those things that we focus on that God actually told us not to focus on. I think with the story of Cain and Abel, the most beautiful part is that there was still room for Cain to change, to make a change. Yet his mind was so fixated, believing that someone else was the problem.